thank you to the CAG and all of the community members doing everything they can to protect the health of the people of Porter Ranch. You know, one of the themes that has come through this meeting that's clear and that should be undisputed is that science should lead. And single-handedly, there is one piece of information that has not been provided to allow science to lead, and that's the gas composition. And the Department of Public Health has the power to subpoena for those records. Having represented public agencies, this is something that is indisputable. So there's no reason to do a health study without science as the lead. Now, I recognize there could be politics on that. If the county commissioners are so worried, or the Department of Public Health is so worried because they're being bullied by Southern California Gas Company, they should let people know. But if that is not the issue, there's no legal reason to withhold the very single, most important information needed to do a health study. What was in the gas? Thank you.
Thank you. We have Hassan Mamarian and then Dr. Nordella. Hassan, I just unmuted.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. My name is Hassan Mamarian. I am a Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council member, board member, also the chair of Sustainability Committee. I should say I'm very disappointed with the pace of this study. It seems like, and I'm sorry to say this, but it seems like this is becoming a career study for some folks, perhaps at DPH or others. As mentioned earlier, you need to take some action and do a human study. If DPH, SAC, or any other government entities or non-government entities are incapable of fulfilling their obligation, perhaps we should consider a private entity with a single goal of doing this human study on behalf of all stakeholders and communities. I can say some bureaucracy and frankly politics is just killing the goal of this study, which is studying the folks and the humans, our friends, our families who live in the community. Time is an essence. More than 5 years has been passed. A lot of people have already said that. And both as a member of the board and also on behalf of my own family as a stakeholder, I don't think there is any good reasons to delay this particular study any further. And I ask for some immediate action to get something going, because a bunch of us in different NCs, and I've talked to my other colleagues at other neighborhood councils, we are very upset with the pace of this study. So please, please, do something quick before we get other officials beyond city and county involved with this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Nordella, I am unmuting you right now.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, very good. So, a few things I want to comment on, and I'll go quickly. It's obviously way too much to comment upon in a few minutes I have to do such. I do want to make a few points and let the community know, this is for the community, that I have met with the county council and had a 45-minute meeting. And we addressed these issues, the issue of the charter. Just a couple of facts is that we have been approximately a year now doing business as the SOC. We've not had a charter. We've discussed a few principles of the charter, and it was mainly chair and co-chair issues. We did not dive deeply into a 13-page document that has specific verbiage that bars me or any SOC member from addressing a community without a 72-hour prior written notice, of which DPH has the potential to deem as confidential. And then if it is released to the community, that particular SOC member will be discharged from the committee. So, Dr. Davis, I've not met you, but I respectfully disagree with you that this document has some principles of science in it, and I've agreed to that even with counsel, and I could abide by that. That would not be a problem. But it, on its majority, is nothing but a gag order. And I pointed out, as a treating physician, and the only treating physician that sits on this committee, there's two others, but are not practicing physicians. They do not live up to the same responsibilities that I have with licensing agencies, either at a county, state, or federal level. So I do want to encourage you that I have approximately 5 minutes left to be a SOC member. And if this document on its face value was not that of censorship, then me presenting this to you without the 72-hour prior notice to DPH and them having the ability to deem confidentiality and then feedback to me of me just addressing you in a public forum is grounds for termination. So please stand by. We'll do a town hall. Follow Facebook. We'll get it out to everybody, and then we'll really discover the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nardella. We have one more person who looks like they'd like to talk, and then I'll turn it over to Dr. Davis to close us out. But that looks like Maddox Tortoris, Maddox T.
Hi. As a victim and a community member, I support Dr. Nardella. He's highly qualified and respected expert. Should be on a scientific oversight committee. Earlier in this town hall or this meeting that we've been having, I heard you say something that was kind of unbelievable, and that is radiation levels were nothing to worry about. Well, I want to put it on record that I disagree with that. I temporarily went blind. Whatever spewed out of that gas blowout. My children were vomiting blood. We had blood in our urine and in our stool. We pretty much had blood coming out of everywhere. We suffer to this day to the chemical poisoning. Excuse me for losing my composure. Our children, will they be able to reproduce? Will our bloodline cease? We don't have the records of what came out of that horrific accident, intentional as it may be. It was not an accident, it was negligence. Will the children of 2015 and 2016 gas blowout ever become parents? Dr. Nardella has been on the ground floor with us since the beginning. He is an expert in this field. He must be heard. He is an asset to all. And as a community member, I insist that he continues his position because we, the victims, we trust him. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. I do want to recognize John Tebow because he did have his hand up a little earlier, and I think I put it down, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, John.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Hey. Yeah, I just want to also to agree with the last lady who just spoke. I agree that Dr. Nardella should be still involved. He's the only physician who was here from the beginning, the only physician who knows what we went through and who took our health problems seriously. He knows what our bodies have been through. And unfortunately, I do have to agree that this was not a CAG meeting. It was a Department of Health meeting. I also feel as though the Department of Health cannot be trusted. If there was a way to have this health study be elevated to a national study, that would be great, because it just feels as though, again, the Department of Health is trying to cover your ass. I apologize for saying it that way, but it just doesn't feel as though this study is ever going to get started. And several years ago, Senator Nate Holden said about this exact Aliso Canyon, a health study that was going to be started years ago, that justice delayed is justice denied. And now it's been over 5 years, and again, this health study hasn't been started yet. And it just feels as though if it ever does get started, it will once again just be a whitewash. So that's how I feel. And if CAG feels as though that they are being censored, then they must be being censored. That's how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Dr. Davis, I will turn it over to you to make some closing comments.
So none of us here at DPH are happy about it being as long as it has been in terms of blowout and moving this process forward. The consent decree, if I remember correctly, and someone on staff can correct me if I'm wrong, was at least a couple of years in terms of outlining what we needed to do. I have to go back and forth. In either case, early on in these discussions or in comments from the community, it was really that we don't trust DPH, and I still hear that. And it was really we don't trust DPH to do a health study. And in order to move forward, and in accordance with the consent decree, we put together a scientific oversight committee. The CAG said add more members to it, so there's a majority of independent experts on the committee, which we did. And then in the same time, I hear do something quick. And then I keep hearing and remembering we don't trust DPH. We have the Scientific Oversight Committee to look at, identify, put it back out to you all, the goals and priorities. Don't know what's going to come out of that. I'll say it again. Because we're just going into that. Dr. Nadella mentioned in terms of the SOC charter, and Dr. Sistrunch's comment on the confidence in the process. We still haven't identified, or the SOC hasn't identified the goals and priorities. You guys haven't seen the goals and priorities yet. The charter is the standard practice. It is something that happens in the research field and is needed in this instance to protect the integrity of the process. So, if even I am going out and saying something that is confidential and that impacts that process and gives an unfair advantage to someone else, that's an issue. And that's what the charter is designed to try to protect. This process that we're putting forward, so we don't have many of the issues that could come with information that shouldn't be public related to the proposal that is not even out yet, is still under development, are out there. And that's what that was about. It wasn't about Hippocratic oath. It wasn't about censoring people. But it's let's make sure that what's going to go out is not going to be something that impacts that process. Because we want things to go forward smoothly so that the proposals can, or the RFP can go out so that researchers can, apply to do the work and do the study. But it's not DPH doing it. DPH is not doing the study. DPH is just overseeing the process that's going to get the RFP developed. The SOC is helping to and going to come up with the goals and priorities. You guys will see those goals and priorities.